Hello, and we're back with another Pudding Hero stream. I'm a little frustrated today because I have been nonstop working on editing videos, and I did something really dumb, and that ended up getting half my catalog of videos that were completely deleted. And there's no way to really recover them other than, well, half the videos are unrecoverable. The other half, I have to re-go through the raw footage and pull them out and zone them out again. So all the work I did the past few days was negative work, because not only did it I don't have any of that work, I also have lost half the footage that is unrecoverable. So at this point, that sucks. But other news, just looked outside, saw the gator again. It's just chilling out in the water. Little baby gator. And I kinda I don't know why my thing's bugging out right now. There we go. But I kind of had an idea, and I want to basically put it out there because I want these little stream intros to have something interested in them. And I have a concept that I think might make Dead by Daylight better. Before I do that, I want to drop some links real quick in my chats. So the concept is, what are things, there are certain things in the game that I feel that are kind of useless. Some of them I'm not going to go over today. But I feel like, and by kind of useless, they're not useless. They have a purpose, they are not useless. But they're way weaker than they used to be, or they've always been weak. And the concept I was going to go over is keys and maps. So, I've always felt that keys and maps are they're not really that strong. They're okay. With certain perks, if you add them on, they can do certain things, but I just don't feel like those things are useful as practically anything else you can do in the game. Like, a key is interesting because after the killer can close the hatch, you could reopen it. That's now. Because hatch doesn't spawn until there's only one person left alive. So here is my concept. I'm going to go over each thing individually. I'm going to start with maps, because I think maps should provide a service that maybe people might appreciate more than what they do now. I think all maps should have the ability that when all generators are done, you should be able to, no matter how many people are alive, you should be able to channel your map and spawn the hatch. Not open the hatch, but spawn it into existence so that it can be opened if someone has a key. I think this should only happen, like I said, when all generators are complete and the only thing left to do is to open the exit gates. I think it's not really that strong, but it adds another strategy for survivors to have something to do. And it's something that would be more rare, because who runs maps? You know, who's going to find... You might be able to find a map. But I think depending on what color map you have determines how long it takes you to spawn the hatch. The lower quality item, the lower quality map, maybe takes you a long time. Maybe it takes you 20 seconds, 30 seconds to spawn the hatch. But the entire time you are channeling this hatch spawn, maybe you are revealed to the killer, or something like that, to kind of equate it out. But I think giving a new purpose to maps would be a cool thing. Second thing was keys. So keys have been nerfed a lot recently. They're not useless, because I have a game, I don't think it's in my stream, I think this was before I started streaming again. I had a game where I used the key to escape from a match after the hatch was closed. So I spawned the hatch at Killer Shack. I used an offering. I brought a key into the field, and then the killer closed the hatch and thought everything was done. He saw my offering. He went straight to Killer Shack at the beginning of the game, I mean, at the beginning of when I was the last person alive, immediately closed the hatch, and then went to go protect the exit gates. So what I did, I ran to Killer Shack, and I opened the hatch, and I escaped with my key. He said he's never encountered that before because no one brings keys. No one's been using keys. Keys are just like a fluke. When they happen, it works. So there was a concept I had that I think would be interesting, and I like this concept. I like to call it the latent ability concept. I think every survivor, in order to make them unique, should have what I would like to call a latent ability. What this ability should entail is I think it should be a team-based ability, because with the 6.1 update, it seems that the meta is going more for team perks and team-related abilities. I thought a latent ability per each survivor would be cool. A concept I had, I was thinking of Dwight. I was like, let's go with survivor number 1, Dwight. What would his latent ability is? So what I would think is that if he approaches a gen, he could take a key and use up all its charges instantly to activate his latent ability, which might be for 15 seconds. You do not get any skill checks on a generator. You and your party that is working on this gen will get no skill checks. So, for example, Dwight comes up to the generator with his key. He uses the latent ability on the key. Like, he uses his latent ability, using up all the charges on the key. And now, for the next 15 seconds, he can work on a gen, and then anyone that's working on the same gen as him no longer gets skill checks. That's not really a buff or a nerf. It's kind of like somewhere in between, where, like, yeah, no one gets skill checks. It's not that big of a deal, but it helps a little bit. And, hey, maybe you don't get skill checks, you don't get grades, which means you don't do the generator faster. So it's one of those things of, like, I have a ability, like, Dwight will have this latent ability that he only can use. And it'll give a additional benefit to keys. And like I said before, with the whole map being able to spawn the hatch when all generators are complete, there could be a strat that maybe someone brings in one map and 3 keys, and their whole goal is they do all 5 generators, then they use the map to spawn the hatch, and then the other 3 people use their keys to open up the hatch and escape every single, and so that all 4 people can escape through a hatch. I think that puts more pressure on the killer at endgame, because I feel like endgame, I think there's a lot of power on killer, especially if they can close the hatch, or if they do something, if they have a lot of people alive. I think there's a lot of pressure that killer can put on survivors, because survivors only have 2 points of escape, and I think it's still very much in the killer's favor to hunt them down. I think this adds another avenue in order for survivors to escape, and it forces the killer to pay attention to what the survivors are running around with during the game. So such as they see a survivor bring a map and 3 keys, maybe they're like, okay, this endgame might be a little difficult. And it gives more power to abilities like Franklin's Demise, when you can knock stuff out of their hands and more people can be using it. So, in short, I think this latent ability concept would be cool, and it could rebuff keys. I think the map concept that came out was cool, and could maybe rebuff a map, make it more useful, other than its normal purpose, what it does now, which I think is kind of like, I think maps and keys are kind of dog shit at the moment. But that's just my idea. We could, if we want to, we're going to go ahead, with that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into some gameplay. So, boom. I had a crazy Trapper game last night, which, I mean, basically the game felt like it played itself. And I don't even think it was, my perks helped out a lot, but I just think my add-ons for the traps, which weren't anything crazy, just was my traps reset themselves, was pretty much it. And yeah, that was outrageous. And every time a trap reset itself, it would give me the aura of somebody nearby, or the aura of the person who disabled that trap, which was cool. But it was a very interesting game. But I'm not gonna play too much today, because like I said before, with the with me losing half of my footage, and so I lost all the footage. I lost was most of my artist games. So all of August 3rd's artist games are completely gone, and I'm going to have to just live without those matches. They are gone. Like, if I really wanted to dig them up, I might be able to download a file from Twitch, one of my old videos, and see if I can pull it from there. I might try that after, but I'm probably going to spend the rest of the day focusing on getting getting kind of stuff more situated. Yeah, no, it wasn't from the... So, it literally happened about a half an hour before I started stream today. I was cleaning up so that I have space for my stream today. So what I ended up doing, I was holding shift. I was holding control and I was clicking files that I wanted to delete. And the folder with all my completed files accidentally got stuck in there even though it wasn't highlighted. And when I hit shift delete, it deleted my folder with every single finished video that was not uploaded. So now what I have to do, I have to go back through all of the raw footage again, which I don't have the original raw footage because I already deleted the raw footage for all the artist games I had on August 3rd because I had already created the final files for all of those. So all those just gone. So I don't know if I'm going to try and re-download that file and then recut up the videos, or if I should just move along and just say August 3rd's killer matches are just gone. But I'll figure it out from there. Like, I'll figure out what I'm doing. This is going to add more matches that I can do today and other stuff like that. But we're moving on. But, so my biggest thing is, like, I thought of the latent ability thing first, and then I was trying to see how the latent ability thing could affect survivors without being a complete buff. And I think tying them to keys or stuff like that. So I want survivors to be unique. So how do I want to say this concept? Every character, every AD carry in League of Legends is not 100% the same. They have an individual thing that if you play against that character more often, you're going to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. I think not stacking is the first thing. Can you clarify? Because I don't know what you're talking about right now. Does that have to do with the videos, not stacking videos? Or is this on my latent ability concept? Oh, the passive skills things? Yeah. So, like, what before is, I think the passive skills should be things that are not generally strong, but I think it should be unique to the character. So, an example would be Dwight's thing where for 15 seconds no one gets skill check as long as he has a full key. Or maybe the duration determines how rare the key is. It determines how long duration is. So if they're running around with a iridescent key, maybe he gets 30 seconds of no one getting skill checks on the gen he's on, and then the key's used up completely. The same, I was thinking more of that, like, maybe like Yui. Yui has, like, the breakout perk. Maybe hers is that, when she activates this, or maybe when she gets grabbed by a killer while holding a key, it maybe gives her the passive breakout perk. So, like, somebody's near her trying to break out. And maybe she has that for the duration of that one wiggle attempt. Like, I think, like, little passive abilities that reflect what the character's perks originally are. So, like, Dwight's perks focus on him, like, on gens, like, with Prove Thyself, and, like, with certain things, like, Dwight has a lot of gen progress. So I was like, his latent ability should probably revolve around gens. Meg maybe should be sprint burst. Maybe when Jen uses her latent ability, maybe everybody gets a quicker cooldown for their exhaustion perks. So maybe their exhaustion perk goes better when she eats her key. So, like, she has a little aura around her for the next, whatever, 10, 20, 30 seconds. Gives everyone a quicker cooldown on their exhaustion. And then it wears off and it's gone until she finds another full key. I like the latent ability things. I think it should be timed. I think it should be tied around a consumable. Just because I don't think it should be something that they use the entire game. And I think if they're going to use their latent ability, I think you should have the choice of, am I going to bring a key or am I going to bring a toolbox? Am I going to bring a key or am I going to bring a med kit? I think it's kind of one of those things that, if it makes you ask that question, I think it's good. And one of the things I hope it would do is that, I don't think passive skills should stack. I think so if you have 4 Dwights in your party, I think this should also incentivize people picking different characters. I think if you have 4 Dwights in your party and you all activate your ability at the same time, I don't think you should have 4 times the effect. I think you should have 1 times the effect. If you all activate them at the same time, there's literally no additional benefit. And so instead of stressing out the killer by picking 4 characters that all are wearing the exact same costume, making it harder for them to determine how many hooks they have on certain people, I think maybe it will help with them, people diversifying which characters they pick. And I think the main incentive on this would be creating it so that I want to play different survivors rather than just being like, well, I have Leon and he has every single perk in the game, so there's no reason for me to play any other survivor. While with Killer, each of them is a unique experience. With survivors, it's just, who do I want to look like right now? But with that, let's get into the game. I'm running the anti-healing build. I'm just going to go ahead, let's select the challenge. I'm not going to play that many matches today. I'm just going to do a few, and then I'm going to get back to editing. Instead of me editing a lot of videos all at once and then trying to upload them one at a time while creating things, I think I'm going to do one at a time, upload, create the thumbnail, and then just get going, and then do the next one. Upload, create the thumbnail. Instead of me doing, here's 20 videos worth of footage, and then now let me start doing thumbnails. All for every single video. And then now let me start doing this. Because then I run out of time next time I'm going to do try and go stream. Kill 10 survivors by any means. Cool. Cool beans. Alright, we're in. Yeah, I literally, because I left, I was knocking to Frank earlier, and then I left to go take a shower, and I was like, what? Like, I just had the idea hit me of just like, keys are useless, maps are useless, and latent abilities, like, and why would I want to play any other survivor other than my main survivor? Bruh. The question is can I edit? Well, I'm going to try to edit while I'm waiting for a match. I wonder if that is a possibility. Like, okay, so imagine this, Boa. And this could be crazy. And this might be too strong. Imagine David, when he uses his key, he actually dead hards, but the old dead hard animation. Imagine he could do one real dead hard with the key. Imagine, man. Yeah, well, if they're gonna do that, it has to be a consumable. So, like, even if it's not a key, I think they need to tie it to a consumable. I don't think they should not give survivors just a free ability that's unique to them, because all I think that's going to do is just gonna sway the balance. I think by tying it to a key or a map or something, or even a new item that they might create, I think is the only way to do it, because at that point you have to trade off your medkit, your toolbox. You have to trade off whatever item you're bringing. So I think it should be locked to maybe a consumable or locked to something. Because just giving all the survivors a random extra ability, it would just... whatever balance they're going for now would just sway it more in survivors' favor. If all the survivors get an ability. And this is me, by the way, this is me making the assumption that if they feel like the game is balanced now, like, if they feel the game is balanced now. So I'm saying, if that's the assumption I'm going with, that their goal is to... oh, more than that. Their goal is to balance the game. And they think the game currently is balanced. Adding an extra ability, even no matter how insignificant, would basically be making the game unbalanced. Yeah. But I think tying it to something is necessarily what they need to do, because they need to make, you need to have to make a choice.